recording every time someone joins.
That's right. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for the 45th IGC podcast, a podcast for adult gamers like to joke around, play hard, and we occasionally get wasted. We curse, we get rowdy, we have a good time doing it. What are we going to talk about today? Well, there is really not a lot of news, but we are going to talk about the Gearbox. It's not even really Gearbox. It's sort of the three-way Duke Nukem bullshit that was going on. We're going to talk about a topic we missed last podcast, the Journey of Light on Steam release. That was kind of big news. We're going to talk about how EA has actually been doing pretty well, despite what we feel here personally. We're going to talk about equity crowdfunding, and we're going to talk about some strange Nintendo patent that they've filed for that looks kind of, well, it looks like something you already own. But first, before we do that, how's everybody doing today?
Hangover bad.
Okay. Is anyone else suffering from a hangover? Is it just Naughtius?
Being awake too long bad.
Kiefer, you need to sleep more. We've talked about this.
I'll think about it.
It's not healthy for you to game all the time. All right, well, as you guys know, here with us today is Naughtius and Seifer are here, and also AI Monster and Papa are also here.
Yay.
Once again, Sichi is not here. Although maybe he will show up later. We never know with him. He just kind of pops in and he's like, hey, I'm here. So what have you guys been playing since the last podcast? Which was like, it seems like ages ago, but it was really 2 weeks. Anything new? Anything exciting? Anything interesting?
Playing that 14.
Yeah.
I finished Operation Tokyo Abyss, so I decided to pick a pretty easy platinum to do next, and I picked Goat Simulator, which took a couple days to plat.
Oh man, that's right, because it came out on PS4, right? Yeah.
And then I played the Never Alone DLC, which took an hour.
Well, that game was short to begin with, right?
Yeah, I mean the DLC wasn't expensive. I think it was like $3 or something.
Anybody else been playing anything interesting, worthwhile talking about?
Yeah, they released a little standalone expansion for Planetary Annihilation called Planetary Annihilation Titans. It's, if you're familiar with the Total Annihilation series, it's basically a spiritual successor to that, but on a much grander scale. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, I saw the launch trailer for that. Looked pretty cool.
You're like, making big robots fight each other on, real-time strategy kind of environment. That's the way to go.
And Saturday I had Dungeon Travelers 2 come, so I've been playing that.
Oh, how is
I haven't
that?
played it much. Actually, it's really enjoyable. I like the Dungeon Crawling RPG, so. And this one's pretty good. I don't think Operation Abyss was that good. Like this one's on the level of Demon Gaze, so. And everyone knows how much I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also banned from playing Lychee in Blaze Blue.
It's probably for the better.
Is that Papa's fault?
Yes. He doesn't like me playing her. He has a very...
So it's really all May's fault. He's just such a gigantic dick when he plays her.
You just can't counter his mix-up? Is that your problem, Papa?
Jesus, strong with that one.
Can't counter the staff of Christ. That has like a 2-frame startup, goes halfway across the screen, and then a 0-frame startup when he triggers it. That is not counterable by projectiles or any of my non-Dragon Punch attacks.
I'm under the impression that AI asked for the IGC Fight Club channel on TeamSpeak just specifically so that he could continuously own you in Blaze Blue. That sound about right?
I got a little better at it. I was giving him the beat down in a couple rounds, but then as the night went on and I got less and less drunk, I proceeded to do a lot worse.
So you were drunk going into it?
Yes, after just having spent 3 hours doing challenge modes with Jin, and god damn did that piss me off to no end, so I was just taking out some rage initially.
Well, why wouldn't you just keep drinking then? I don't understand.
Yeah, I was down to pretty much Crown and Dizzerono, and I didn't feel like making Godfathers.
Well, it's your own fault then.
I do have one with me right now, though, so I guess that's remedy. But we won't be playing fight games tonight. got football and Falling Skies to watch.
Did you guys play any tabletop this past week?
Sure did. Played some Forbidden Desert last night, but
How did that go? I have never heard of that one.
yeah,
We were near the end.
The game came very near to escaping the desert, and then kind of got RNG'd by the little sandstorm.
So is this another one of them that's like games where it's the game against the players?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a collaborative effort between the players to find the pieces to reconstruct this airship so they can escape this desert. All the while the game is trying to kill you.
We were all near the landing pad at the end, had all the parts, and we were like one turn away from winning. And
Not even a
we got
full
RNG.
turn. Like we were literally like 2 more people moving away from winning. So like a round is all the people in the game go once, and so it just kind of like Pandemic Forbidden Island, and we were literally like Naughtiest and myself away from winning, and then it just
I was sitting right next to the landing pad trying to get you guys there. Remember, I used the frickin' jetpack melee and I over there.
Mm-hmm. And then it got around again, and then the storm, my brother flipped over some bad storm cards, Fish did, and the storm literally moved from the other side of the map to us and blocked off pretty much our only entrance to the landing pad, because the rest of it was covered in sand.
Well, that's
Buried.
just shitty luck.
Yeah,
it was terrible. Like,
We had it. We had it good. We only uncovered 1 well out of 2. Didn't even get the false one. Didn't even get the false oasis. The Mirage. So we were doing really well in all aspects of the game. Found all 4 parts within like 1 round of each other. So between like one person going and then him going again, we found all 4 parts. Picked up half of them. It
basically worked out like if I had gone through the deck and pulled out the worst possible combination of storm cards to like it could have possibly thrown at us, I could probably have only done slightly better than what the game threw at us. Like it was that bad. It was.
Wow. So it sounds like you started off doing well, and then the game shat on you, and you lost.
Oh, shadowing was so hard. It's like worse than Pandemic shitting on you.
Pandemic shits pretty hard when it shits. It's pretty bad.
This was pretty bad as well.
Well, the question is, did you guys have fun?
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's
We
what's
might
important.
actually play it for Thursday. Depends on what Naughtiest wants to do, since he gets to pick this week's games.
Oh, okay. Well, if my raid ever gets canceled, I will join. I promise. This past Saturday we were canceled, although we thought we might start late, so I didn't jump on, and I really kind of regret it now because I didn't do much. I was kind of sitting on the couch.
You wouldn't have gotten to play anyway.
Yeah, I know. There's 5 of you guys already there, right? So.
Actually, no, there's 6 characters, right? It can be played with 6, I believe.
Well, I will keep that in mind. I looked at when he said it was called Forbidden Desert.
Correct.
Cool. That sounds great. I don't usually have anything new to talk about in this particular segment of the podcast, but this week I actually do. Mostly because I play Final Fantasy XIV like all fucking day. I actually have all the 10 classes capped out now, so I'm really happy about that. But I did discover a very cool game that Thaner actually turned me on to, and I started playing it very, very unwillingly, and then I found out that I really love it. And you guys probably heard of it. It's called Rocket League, and it's on PS4, it's on PC. And I started playing that, and man, I've had a blast playing Rocket League with Thaner and Capel. Capel's very good at this game. They're the guys who run Meta Mountains out here at IGC. But I've also been playing a lot of like 3v3, 4v4 solo queue stuff. Some ranked matches, some not. And it's just a lot of fun. Do any of you guys play that?
I do not have it. I have heard a lot of people talking about it, and I have not heard a single person say like one bad thing about it. It seems to be like universally admired.
Yeah, it really is. And for people who are unfamiliar with it, although I can't imagine how you would be, it's you have a car, and all the cars are the same. You get to redesign the bodies, the tires, all the way they look, basically country flags, whatever. But there's no like in-game microtransaction shit that like makes your car boost faster, nothing like that. So it's equal playing field. And there's a giant ball, and the idea is it's just you're playing soccer, but you're a car instead of a dude. And the pitch is huge. And it's just great. It's got great environment. It's got great music. And the gameplay is it's hilarious sometimes and really fun.
Really? It's got field, sir.
It's called the pitch.
You're in the United States.
They call it the pitch, all right? And you know,
We don't tolerate that kind of talk around.
you
here.
could boil the game down to describing it as car soccer, but it is a lot more than that because it's only up to three players. 3 versus 3 is the standard, and then 4 versus 4 is what they call chaos. But you can only play that in like non-ranked stuff. It's just a lot of fun to get together on a Friday night, drink a shitload of liquor, and play Rocket League, and it has been the most entertaining thing in my life. And the matches are 5 minutes, so you play a lot of them really fast, and you know, you can save the replays in the game. It does have in-game voice chat that people basically just use to trash talk each other, but it's been a lot of fun to play that game and discover it. And it's like $20 on Steam, but sometimes it goes on sale, and it was free for on PS Plus like 2 months ago, I want to say. So it really does have a big player base on PS4. And it has crossplay. Although you can't join teams across platforms, you can play people on PS4 on the PC version. So a lot of fun. Highly recommend that game. I can't say enough good about it. It's been a breath of fresh air from like playing MMOs constantly.
So they do start to wear on you after a while.
They really do. You know, and the grind and watching the numbers go up constantly and all that stuff. And this is just like. Just score goals, man, and set up cool plays and bicycle kicks and front flips, and it's a lot of fun.
If you want to see some
reminds me
sweet
of
Rocket League
Blitz.
action, there's a lot of gifs you can find on IMG involving Rocket League.
Yeah, it's a super popular game right now. And probably will be for a while. The new DLC came out also, which is like $3 or $4 for like a bunch of new car skins, like nothing big or whatever, you know. But yeah, just try it out. I would say try it out. If you guys hate it, you hate it, but give it a shot because it is a game that is just a lot of fun if you have 2 or 3 friends. Anything else, guys, you want to talk about or plug while we're here? No,
I got nothing.
You got nothing. All right. So let's talk about news. We'll start talking about Duke Nukem. So recently, the Duke Nukem lawsuit has ended, and if you guys remember, this has been going on for a little while. It was between Gearbox Software, 3D Realms, and Interceptor Entertainment, and they were all sort of vying for, you know, who was going to make the next Duke Nukem game, essentially.
Well,
and
the Gearbox guys apparently had already started making another Duke Nukem.
They apparently did. And in the end, they ended up winning the whole lawsuit because it seems like all parties kind of decided to just end everything that was going on. But I don't know. What did you guys think about this? Because I have a few questions, but I want to hear what you guys have to say first.
It's, you know, I mean, kind of figured once they had acquired and completed, you know, Duke Nukem Forever, that this was inevitable, that we would eventually see a continuation of the franchise. But I don't really particularly care. I think Duke's just kind of fallen out of, you know, our pop culture, really, and I don't see them, you know, reviving the franchise at any meaningful level.
See, that's what gets me, because I feel like there was a whole lot of hubbub about a game that didn't do well in its last iteration, because people waited like a decade to get it, and by the time we got it, it was so like aged out of, like you said, our pop culture. Kids that were up and coming who were now 20 didn't get the Duke Nukem stuff. Like, we got it because we played, you know, the first 2 games, but nobody understood why Duke Nukem was still funny. You know, it's like when kids now are seeing like new Bruce Campbell movies, like they don't understand what made Bruce Campbell really funny and interesting back in the 90s with, you know, Army of Dead, you know, and all that, Army of Darkness and all that stuff.
And I mean, you know, quickly at its core, it just wasn't a very good game anyway. And, you know, Gearbox, they haven't exactly knocked it out of the park recently. You know, they've got the Borderlands franchise, which seems to be keeping them in the game. But outside of that, I mean, their offerings are pretty lackluster.
Their Borderlands have not been, their ports and shit for Borderlands has not been very good lately either. Like, the Vita is pretty bad, and I heard the PlayStation version has some issues as well. I think it's PS4.
And then they had the whole, you know, alien colonial marines problem issue, well, controversy, I guess you want to call it. The massive, you know, bull shots and completely, like, doctored up videos.
Right. Well, you know, they clearly stand behind this IP over Gearbox. They are very interested in, and this is what they said they are starting production on an all-new head-turning Duke Nukem game. This is being reported by GameSpot. I can't really envision what a head-turning Duke Nukem game would be. I mean, you'd have to really bring something new to the FPS genre, or the comedic FPS genre, in a way that I guess Borderlands did. But with Duke Nukem, who typically has been only kind of cheeky funny, not actually really funny.
And really only funny because he ripped off a lot of lines and dialogues from other pop culture movies and books.
You think they could do that again, though? You think they could? There's enough movies, there's no material out there that it's relevant that for the past 10 years they could do that.
I feel like
They
there's
tried
definitely
to
enough
do that.
content.
They tried to do that with Duke Nukem Forever, and it just didn't work.
Again, Gearbox didn't.
And
They just finished Duke Nukem Forever. It was already pretty much done.
yeah, but I mean, why would they want to try to use this IP anyway? I mean, it didn't sell well with Duke Nukem Forever. The IP's damaged, it's tainted.
I feel like maybe that's why 3D Realms decided, you know what, just fuck it, let's pull out of this, because maybe it's not worth owning this thing anymore when it's not going to sell as well as we want, in terms of the settlement if we keep pushing for it. Maybe they just gave up. They let go of the rod or whatever.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, 3D Realms is not a very good game company right now either, so...
I mean, you've kind of got two things here. And the actual Duke Nukem franchise name is not going to carry the marketing for this product at all. They're really going to have to sell it. And two, Gearbox has really got to get their shit together. Their ports have been terrible, like they were saying. Some of their original titles, their licensed IPs, like the Aliens game, was terrible. So they've got a lot to work towards here.
Well, maybe we'll see a trailer next E3 for a new Duke Nukem game. I mean, I think that's the best we could hope for, if you're still looking forward to Duke Nukem at this point.
Yeah, although I honestly can't say why you would be. But hey, if you are, maybe something coming up in the next 8 months.
I would like to be pleasantly surprised, but I just don't think they've got it.
Yeah.
They'd have to do what Doom is doing right now.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That Doom made one of those head-turning kind of debuts, right, at E3 for me anyway. Knowing what old Doom looked like and what new Doom was going to look like, and yeah, it looked like Rails. It looked very pre-programmed kind of stuff, whatever. But at the same time, it was flashy and it reinvented Doom in your mind, at least. How it's going to play, another story. I'm not sure Duke Nukem is going to get to that level, though. I don't see it. Not coming from these guys anyway.
And they aren't Bethesda.
No.
Certainly not. They don't have that kind of money. All right. So, before the last podcast, there was a pretty interesting discussion about a game that came out on Steam called Journey of Light. We failed to report on it. But having looked back through a lot of stuff, because there's been quite a big amount of news out there for this. Jim Sterling covered this. VG247 article is the one we're going to be looking at today. About a game that literally just launched broken. I mean, it came out, and this guy, Lord Crest or Crestlord, whatever the hell his name is, was touting this game as going to be this was going to be the most difficult game to complete on Steam ever, and it actually was, because you can't actually finish the first level.
Yeah, I didn't fall prey to this or anything, but I did read, the article, and this is amazing. Apparently he designed this first level so people would waste enough time on it to make them ineligible for a Steam refund.
Yeah, that was really fucking bad. He said the hints were in the Steam trading cards, and there were 2 different cards that had hints on them. And you had to play it for 2 hours to get those 2 cards and avoided the return.
Right. And then he also...
So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was going to say, I mean, it's pretty hard to forgive this guy, because... I mean, he's like specifically designing the game to fuck with its user base.
Right, and he also was the only player in all of Steam that actually had achievements for completing this first, second, and third level.
He also didn't have all the achievements in the game, which says something.
Right, which he said that there was like 7 levels and like a bonus 8th level or something like that, and he didn't have them. And then he tried to come up with this story. I mean, maybe it's true. Who knows what this guy is really thinking or whatever. That some kind of bug fix accidentally rolled back the game or something like that. And this is a really fishy story.
I mean, there was no files or any code for the other levels discovered, so So it's pure
Yeah,
scam.
he said it was due to a hot fix. How does a hot fix erase your game?
I don't know. How does a hotfix erase one's game?
And it took him 2 weeks after that hotfix to go, oh, I guess people are returning this. I should say something.
Which was good on
It's
Steam,
fucking
you know.
bad.
What I had said, some people, since I heard this come out, was like, good on Steam for actually kind of protecting the consumer here. They issued complete refunds for this game, regardless of how long you had played it, because they recognized that this game was essentially a scam. I mean, hardest game on the planet. That's going to draw a lot of hardcore players who want to play, who like roguelikes, who like other types of games that are very difficult, to be like, oh, well, I've just been challenged. I'm going to go try to play this game, and then I can't beat it, and played for hours and hours and hours, and suddenly I can't refund it anymore.
Let's keep in mind this is a puzzle game, so it can't.
Right.
It's not a physical Twitch game. If you're saying it's the hardest game on the planet, there has to be some complicated puzzles there. There was nothing in this game. Basically, it was just run around the world.
Yeah, you can click on lampposts and turn them off and on,
Yeah.
and that's all it does. And no one could figure out the solution to the game because there was no solution apparently. So, you guys,
I just like how we spent a large portion of one of the previous podcasts talking about developers and players abusing the refund system, and well, what do you know?
yeah, and here we see it.
Right. I've always kind of wondered about Steam's refund policy and that 2-hour limitation. If you played a game for 2 hours, you're no longer entitled to a refund. I don't know if they should be going that route.
Yeah, we debated it quite a bit, but it was good to see that Steam, regardless of that, gave refunds because they recognized that the game was in a broken state and that it should not have been released as it was.
Oh, well, it's a good lesson.
It is a good lesson, and developers should not try to make up excuses like they uploaded the wrong version of the game, or a hotfix deleted all the assets for everything after the first level, or it broke the first level.
There is precedence for those kind of crazy things happening in patches. I mean, there have been patches for games that have wiped people's hard drives because somebody screwed the patch up. But yeah, I mean,
there would be artifacts in the code that for the next level and everything. It's not there, so
yeah. There's no assets for the additional.
Yeah, there was some really bad. I think EVE Online did something, a boot file in your Windows folder, and it made people not able to turn on their computer.
Didn't Phantasy Star Online or something, the installer would wipe hard drives? I think there was an older piece.
There was a really really old game.
It's like a strategy game.
It was notorious. When people installed it, it wiped the person's hard drive out and just installed the game onto the hard drive. And that was actually done because the developer build, when they were running it for the developer build, they wanted the hard drive to be clean when running the game, so they had to delete everything.
That's awesome.
And then it actually shipped with that.
It's amazing.
build.
They just have an fdisk command in there. Oops.
Format everything.
Yeah, it was
That's what it
something
did. It
crazy like
formatted
that.
the hard drive.
Well, I'm glad we got to talk about it just because, if anyone hasn't gotten their refund yet, please go get your refund. You are entitled to one for this game that you bought and cannot clear the first level of. We spent a lot of time on this podcast slamming EA for the strange things that it does, and I would say for the most part, we always come up with some kind of justification for what that is, and we also talk about other companies that aren't doing so well, like Ubisoft and things like that, though they've been pretty quiet. But you know what? EA is actually making money, and I think we all knew that. But there's a value now to it. What are you going to say to me?
I mean, if you really do look at EA, in the last 2 years, they haven't been that bad. Certainly not Ubisoft just overtook them. I mean, they've been doing some things that have been good, and then they tend to do something shitty afterwards.
I think there was a slight miscommunication when they were trying to sell us all the EA Early Access thing. And when we finally got all the details for that, people were kind of disappointed that it wasn't exactly what they thought they were getting. But people still bought into it because it was still a way to preview games days before they come out, see what they're about before committing to the full price in the game. It essentially is like having a demo disc for a game. And we've talked before. We don't see a lot of demo discs anymore. Companies just don't do that because it's not worth the investment or whatever the case may be. And this was a nice way for EA to actually be able to preview a game, that maybe you want to buy before you buy it. But since this guy Andrew Wilson took over EA a couple of years back in September of 2013. EA stock has actually tripled in price, and he was instrumental in pushing back Dragon Age Inquisition until it was completely ready, which, obviously that was a good thing, and it happened at a good time as well. Ubisoft faltered last fall, but BioWare didn't. They put out a very good product, and he had a lot of say in that. And in the recent past, we've seen CEOs not do so well. This article on Forbes specifically mentions Don Matic leaving Microsoft or Xbox division to go to Zynga, then leaving the company after like a year or less to be replaced by the last CEO. And so EA is now actually worth more than Activision. And that's not something that I would think of, but now they are. And that shows that EA has actually been doing something pretty good. And he says that most of it has come from just listening to the gamers. And do you guys feel like EA listens to you? Like, do you ever take a survey from EA or give them feedback in some way?
They might not listen to me particularly, but they have been doing some positive things. I mean, Origin offers refunds, just like Steam, and they did it before Steam. They offered free. I remember they offered some free games up in celebration for some anniversary or some shit back then. A few months ago, or maybe last year. I don't quite remember exactly when, but
yeah. And they consistently, give free games, out on Origin, older games, obviously, but games that you would probably only be able to get through a company like Good Old Games, and no other way.
They're bringing in titles that would be considered unusual for EA to pick up.
Yeah, like Unravel.
Yeah,
that was an interesting title that they showed. It's worth mentioning, and this article does, that EA actually makes 70% of its revenue from digital sales, like in-game purchases, subscriptions. They say game downloads, internet services, things like that. And obviously, Origin's free, so that one doesn't count. But that's a trend that we're going to talk about a little bit later too with Nintendo. Like, digital is the future. We see it all over the place with PS Store, Steam, Xbox Live, Marketplace, Arcade, all that stuff. And EA has really committed to digital distribution in that sense, and it has paid off big time for them.
Yeah, I mean, over the past year, they've just been changing their stance on a lot of things. One of the most noticeable things I noticed was during the whole Gamergate fiasco, they took a very mature and honest stance in a PR response saying, there is a disconnect between players, companies, and journalists, and we're going to do better. We're going to try and do better. They acknowledged there was a problem, and they wanted to fix it. And at the time, no one was saying anything like that. So
yeah,
that was very noticeable to me, at least.
Well, there was one person that had tried to say something, and it was actually Yves Guillemot over at Ubisoft, who had said at around the same time that this guy came aboard, around the fall of 2013, that they were never going to release a game that wasn't ready to be released. And then the following year, with Ubisoft's change in model of, we are going to have this come out every year, they released a bad game. And so EA kind of pulled ahead, I think, here in a big way. And they also scored a lot of acquisitions. I mean, when we were doing IGC Press, the last article that I covered was that Amy Hennig was coming over to Visceral Games to work on the Star Wars stuff, and she was the big creative force behind Uncharted, right? And recently they brought on Jade Raymond, which everyone knows was over at Ubisoft as a big developer. So they've made some staff acquisitions too that really shows a lot of promise for the games that are going to be coming out. And obviously Disney wants things like the Star Wars series itself to be good, and that is something I think we all want.
Yeah, I think everybody was a little bit terrified when it was discovered that Disney was going to put the Star Wars license fully in EA's hands, and time's going to tell on this one. But so far, things are looking pretty decent. I mean, I think a lot of people are pretty excited for the new Star Wars Battlefront game. There's a lot riding on that one for them too, because this is pretty much going to be basically redemption or filling in the grave for DICE, because after all the Battlefield problems that that they've had, they've got a lot riding on this guy.
No, I don't think EA is completely forgiven. I mean, they still do tons and tons of layoffs, and basically buy these companies up, gut them, and throw them out the door. And
yeah, let's not forget what happened with the whole SimCity franchise this year, right?
Yeah, and they still have shitty DLC practices. They still release buggy games. They did postpone BioWare and Dragon Age and everything, and touch that up, but they still do tend to release some pretty shitty titles. I mean, I think the FIFA bugs are pretty hilarious.
That's
on
true.
their games.
And Mirror's Edge's Catalyst is coming out next year. So yeah, they still release shitty games.
Me.
Oh, are you finally getting excited for that one, Greg?
No, not at all. Not at fucking all.
We're gonna get you there.
I'm more excited to see Unravel come than anything else I think coming out, because watching that last conference at Gamescom was like, that was the coolest game I think they had on the screen, and it was probably the simplest game that they're looking at publishing. Not interested in Mirror's Edge. Sorry, I'm just not. I'm gonna hold fast to that one.
Like Plants vs Zombies, Garden Warfare.
You're not the first person to tell me that, actually, but I've never gotten into it. I'm going to stick with the car soccer.
If tomorrow EA came out and said, we're working on a new X-Wing or TIE fighter, all would be forgiven. However, we all know that's pretty unlikely.
They're an easy
they don't
sell.
they don't have a Lawrence Holland. They used to have a Chris Roberts, but no, not anymore.
Well, you know what? It seems like they're making a lot of money. Maybe they're going to start investing in more developers as time goes on. I mean, like I said, we've already brought in a bunch of people that are pretty good and that are known. And hell, keep bringing it on. I mean, I really am looking forward to the day where we don't talk poorly about EA anymore. But I find it difficult to imagine that actual day, because they're tough to like. Yeah, they do layoffs. They shut down a great company, and here we are, with they're making money, but to us, we don't really care. We want them to put out a good product. We especially want them to do Star Wars well. That is going to be very telling, and we're going to know that in about 60 days.
I'm just curious, is there a big video game publisher we all like here?
Lately?
Yeah, lately? No.
We're like FromSoft. A fairly large group of haters over here, so.
FromSoft.
I don't know if FromSoft is big. Maybe Atlas.
You'd be talking about Bandai Namco. That's their publisher, isn't it?
Yeah.
FromSoft?
From Software is the developer.
So.
If we're talking developers,
softball for Nintendo.
there's a lot of developers that we like. And I like. I mean, but publishers is a different story. Well, time is going to tell on EA. If they're going to keep rolling in the dough, making their money. I'm sure they are. I don't see this changing anytime soon. So, Papa, you wanted to talk to us about, was it you that put this equity crowdfunding thing on here? Or
No, I put that on there.
You did?
No.
Okay. This is a very long article to get through. I didn't quite understand it all because I'm not really a business guy. But what I got was that there's some company called Fig who is trying to start up a very Kickstarter-like thing just for video games, where big developers or publishers are actually going to be considered investors on games, right?
Yeah, it's not just Fig, although I think this article is specifically about Fig, but there's other it's called equity crowdfunding. It's where you could basically just be an investor in a company. Real simple to set up. Just like Kickstarter, you put a certain amount of money in, and then you're now an investor in that company. Like buying stock, I guess.
I like this idea.
No, I think a lot of people do, especially after watching what happened to Oculus, and basically they got kickstarted by a few thousand people, got their product kind of out the door, and all of a sudden were acquired for by Facebook for over $2 billion.
It's not just Oculus that happens to either. There's been a lot of companies doing that. They do Kickstarter, and then all of a sudden they have a publisher after Kickstarter funding the rest of the game.
Does something like this, in your guys' opinion, have the potential to remove games from Kickstarter to a point where they really don't, like, big budget games don't exist on Kickstarter anymore? Like Shenmue, like Bloodstained, like Star Citizen did back then.
It's certainly possible because you would definitely, if you still have to be an accredited investor, and to be an accredited investor, you need $1 million in assets, or to make $200,000 a year. So or actually, I think it's 3,000 for a single person. Or no, it's 200,000 a year for a single person, 300,000 for
So
husband and wife.
all those
Yeah.
Arabian princes, they're going to be the investors in these games, and you and me,
Well, there's
we're not going to
certainly
be affected by this,
no,
really.
there's certainly a lot of people who would fit in that. I mean, getting $1 million in assets isn't really that difficult, even if you make 100 grand a year. I mean, there's a lot of people that fit in there, but yeah, it's certainly. I'd say it's certainly going to be easier to get funded for equity crowdfunding because a lot of people are going to want to invest more than they're going to want to simply just get like a pre-order bonuses, basically.
Yeah, I can see the allure for someone who wants to throw down like a couple $1,000s on a game and have more than just their name in the credits or go out to dinner with the developer. They want to own a piece of this, and this is giving them the potential to do that, where Kickstarter doesn't really have something like that, in their standard business model. I think it's a neat idea. Past that, it doesn't really affect me. I don't really kickstart a lot of stuff unless I really, really want it, and I would never kickstart something enough to be really considered an investor, even if I, met the minimum requirements for this.
I would.
Okay. Anybody else? Naughties, would you do this? I mean, you have a lot of games you're passionate about.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd really have to see what their model breaks down into. I mean, would we considered like shareholders at that point? Would we have a say in the board of directors of the company and the direction that they're going? I mean, it's otherwise, are you just along for any profit? There's a lot of questions in there, and we'll see how it develops. But yeah, this was kind of we all saw this from a mile away.
Hypothetical question: if Star Citizen did this, would you?
Would I?
Would you invest in it? Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
There's a man who's confident in that product. What about you, Seifer? Since I know you're big on the whole, Star Citizen train ride thing.
Oh, well, it depends on the volume of money. If there's like a certain entry investment, then I don't know. No.
I think it's only 1,000.
Yeah, that's no. I don't like games that much.
$1,000 per share or something here? I mean, what is this entitle you to?
Well, I guess it would be on a per investment basis. I don't know if there's a standard model for this either. This outlines shares, something. Yeah, it kind of outlines an idea.
Well, I like how they're trying to give the donators a bit more rights, if you will. Just in general. I mean, this is just profits. They'll get a share of the profits, but otherwise really have no other rights as an investor.
Well, right now, Kickstarter, you have no rights. Unless they explicitly give you them, right? And really, who's going to do that? Who's going to give you explicit rights to anything on Kickstarter? All right, well, this is coming. And like I said, we all knew this. And in fact, there's a new up-and-coming MMO that's slated probably for about 2017, I want to say, called Crowfall. That is actually also getting in on this. And we've talked about Crowfall in the past. We are considering building a guild for that here at IGC. So I guess, we'll see. We might even have some investors in the community at some point. I mean, that sounds like an interesting thing in some way, if you are into games like that. But the real question is, well, forget about questions. Let's talk about the next topic. The next and last and final topic here on the news. So, Nintendo recently revealed a patent for presumably their next console, which has been codenamed the NX. And we saw some diagrams over at Forbes, and the console itself does not have a disk drive, no optical drive, nothing like that. It does have an internal hard drive, and it basically looks like a PC.
It is a PC, and you can just see here they outline, internal hard drive, processor, first memory, communications. They may as well just put NIC there, and a memory card, and some type of connection to server apparatus. And I'm just like, wait, they're trying to patent a computer.
It's a Steam box, but a different publisher.
Yes, kind of. Yes, Steam boxes don't have optical drives, right? No,
Right.
they don't. All connected to the Steam store. So, Nintendo has always tried to do something off the beaten path, right? And their previous iterations of the last two consoles have been strange controller inputs and that kind of thing. And publishers moved away from them because of that, those particular input methods. It seems like now they're going for something a little more mainstream, at least in terms of what we see the basic design to be. And I'm wondering, is Nintendo doing something new to be like something old so that they can get back into the normalcy of what video games are supposed to be? Is this a good move for Nintendo? Is the big question that I want to ask you guys.
Nothing Nintendo is doing right now is a good move.
Why do you say that?
They
they're
just like trying to. They were hating fucking
Nintendo,
Mario Maker the other night. You weren't there for that.
Nintendo used to be a super original company. Every Mario game played differently. Did something new and unique. And now it's just like they're out of ideas and they're just trying to jump on the bandwagon with every.
Show me an original idea in the past 5 years.
The Wiimote. I mean, I don't know what to say. Wiimote's older than 5 years.
As far as like any other game coming, show me an original idea that hasn't been done in some iteration before. Everything gets recycled these days. It's a matter of how well you can recycle it.
Yeah, at some point things get recycled. The thing is, the not having a disk drive is the biggest thing it presumes is that everything is digital distribution on Nintendo's platform directly. So we're talking the only thing GameStop is going to be able to sell is game cards for games where you put in codes to buy them. Like none of the other console systems are even thinking about this currently right now that I know of. They're all disk-based drives right now, and we're talking about a system that is slated to be coming out 2017, 2018 within the current generation of consoles that is going to be purely digital distribution. I mean, a PC might as well be considered a purely digital distribution platform at this point because you can hardly find physical copies of discs anywhere.
Unless you like special order some collector's edition, correct?
Yeah.
I don't really think the disc I have are probably 10 years old. You're talking like Vice City, Command and Conquer. That's 15 years old. Who am I kidding? I'm old now.
I mean, optical drives they've gone the way of the dodo at this point. It's over when Microsoft is sending out Windows 10 on USB memory sticks. I mean, this is pretty much it.
I do find it weird that Nintendo is doing this first, because their digital services have not been the best out of the consoles. I mean, they're definitely the least multiplayer games. They have the least multiplayer audience. They do pretty well on the selling their old games on digital. In the digital space, but their internet service is probably the worst out of all of them.
Yeah, but keep in mind too, before Iwata passed away, and we don't know who the torch has been passed to just yet. Nintendo's MO seemed to be moving towards doing stuff more digitally. We saw that happen. The Nintendo Club thing was ended. They were replacing that with a new service. They were talking about having like an Android, some kind, not Android, but some other mobile-based system where they're putting their games on, which are going to be digital distribution with DNA. And their actual system, we don't know what it was. There's rumors about it being like a modular system where it's handheld with a snap-in port kind of thing, and all that other cool stuff. And to me, that seems like if you're going to make something that is mobile in that way, that digital distribution and digitally downloading your games makes sense. Like, why have a disc-based system anymore? Maybe Nintendo sees something that maybe they're trying to jump on something before the other guys do, so they're finally ahead of the race in at least one aspect.
Well, really, because of their messed up console cycle, really because they stuck to a defined cycle rather than dragging out, like the Xbox and 360 and PS3 for 8 years. They kind of transitioned after 4 to 5. This puts them in that position to do that, which is good. And just repeating what you mentioned just earlier, you said EA gets like 70% of its revenue from online stuff, transactions over the internet. Maybe it'll be convenient now rather than go to the store, go pick up the thing. You can just fire up something like Steam from Nintendo's eShop. Again, they'd have to improve that. As May said, it is not the greatest thing, and due to its very flash memory, it's not hard drive like in the Xbox One or the PS4. It's all flash based, which is why it's so damn small.
Right,
You
it's like
probably
a
have to go
32
to
gigabyte
SSDs.
drive or whatever.
Yeah, it's 32 gigabytes of fucking flash. You're talking, 90 megs a second. Whenever I do an update for any game, I literally go make a fucking sandwich and eat it, and then go take a shit. Because it takes so goddamn long for anything to patch on there. But maybe if they're moving to that, you're talking, 32 gigs doesn't carry a whole lot. That's 2 games nowadays. If
Some
you're looking
games
at
it's
bigger
one
games-
game.
Yeah. Some games it's not even a game. Like look at Titanfall.
Yeah, or
It was,
Destiny,
50
right?
some odd gigs.
Grand Theft
so-
Auto 5 was on the PC is like 60 gigs.
Yeah. You're talking
Yeah,
about a console that can't even handle a game, like one game, right? I mean, that's...
Right, so that
terrible.
begs the question, how are they going to go do that? Well, obviously the answer is SSDs rather than big old mechanical drives, but then comes the price. How are you going to convince somebody to give you a shitload of high-density SSDs for cheap?
I think the writing has been on the wall for a little while, and if we haven't talked about it on here, I've certainly heard it on other podcasts and on other sites. But as it is, like Nintendo games rarely go on sale in the sense that Xbox or PlayStation games go on sale in a store, and even on Amazon, because Nintendo price controls what their product is worth because they're the developer and publisher for the vast majority of the games that are still made for their console, like 95% of their inventory. And so this just makes sense. Why doesn't Nintendo just distribute shit on their own through their own service and pour money instead of shipping money out there? Pour money into actually upgrading their own infrastructure to be able to support something like a PlayStation Network or something like an Xbox Live, but do it better.
It's also more profits, too, because it doesn't cost you shit, really, except for, hardware cost to, distribute stuff digitally, whereas you have to go manufacture the discs, secure the plants, the manufacturing lines. You have to go do all that if you want to pump out disc of stuff.
Well, that's talk about why this is taking so long, and why the Xbox and the PlayStation are still running optical drives with this console generation. It's infrastructure, really. There's still people out there that are on metered internet access or just have really really slow internet access. But if you look what's happening in the next few years with Airbus is building 900 low Earth orbit satellites that are going to provide internet to the entire world. And it's going to be reasonably fast. They're going to orbit at 750 miles, so the latency is going to be negligible. And versus the 22,000 miles for geosync orbit. So yeah. So
just go back
with internet connections. They're going to be able to basically supply all the games via their platform now to everybody, and not have to worry about people with crappy internet connections or no internet connections having to go to GameStop to buy a game.
The cable companies all out at. But just go back a bit. Like Gray was saying, it kind of brings up another bad thing about Nintendo here is with their eShop, they don't really know how to distribute digitally like Steam and PlayStation Network and Xbox Live does. They don't price discount as well as those companies do. You don't get games for you don't get old games for $2-3. They're still charging $10 to $20 for those games. On sale, and people expect to pay less when they're getting something digitally. They just kind of expect it. So Nintendo needs to adapt to that.
Completely agree. And what better way to be able to adapt to that than if you're doing it all in-house on your own? That's I think the way that Nintendo will be able to keep most of their money sort of onshore for them, in the company. And I feel like the partnerships that they've made recently, that they've talked about over the past year with the mobile market, the DNA guys, I think they're learning. They're learning something that is going to take their company to another level, and maybe they're behind, but somebody's finally pushing them forward to the future and saying, we need to do something that isn't just off the beaten path for the sake of being off the beaten path. We need to do something that actually is still Nintendo at its core, and maybe seems more mainstream, but that also means that it's more accessible to the average consumer, and that people are going to be like, I can pick up this controller, and this feels familiar because I feel like I've been playing with this in my hand for years. Like when you pick up a DualShock or you pick up an Xbox controller, that's familiar. When you pick up a Wiimote, you don't know what the fuck to do with that thing. It's it's weird. And when you pick up that giant Wii U gamepad, you don't know what to do with the thing because your hands are so far apart. You know, it's awkward. They need to move back towards the mainstream a bit, but still bring something to the table that is what we expect from Nintendo in terms of, you know, innovation, or what we used to expect from Nintendo, I should say, which is something innovative, something fun, couch co-op, family style game, whatever. Just do it. And I feel like if anybody's going to be able to pull themselves out of the muck and make $1 million in a day, it's Nintendo.
I don't know. I think the DENA thing is going to take them to another level. It'll just be a much lower level.
Haters, man, everywhere.
I mean, do you guys really think that the mobile thing will be beneficial to Nintendo?
I can't say
maybe
that.
Profit-wise.
It'll make them money.
Not for gamers.
They'll make
If it
them money.
doesn't have motion controls, then we'll talk.
I don't want to play games on my phone.
The question is always about, is it going to make them money? You know, EA's been asking himself that question for a while, and look where it's got them. It's got them to the point where their company is now worth a measurable $700 million more than Activision Blizzard, and that's a pretty damn good place to be for them. For Nintendo, where the hell is Nintendo? I mean, when we talk about Nintendo, we don't even consider them in the console war. You know, that's a dichotomy that's reserved for Microsoft and Sony. We don't even talk about Nintendo because of, you know, like Papa was saying before, they have these weird release times. They release in the middle of generations, at the end of generations. You know, we don't even know where they are. We don't consider them in the race, and we need another dog in this race.
They're dominating the handheld market.
Oh yeah, they'll always kick ass at the handheld market. I think that was a given, mostly because there's been only one of two to get into it, and the second one came in too late.
Well,
But
I'm
that's a
happy
story
for
another
Nintendo.
day.
I'm happy for Nintendo.
That makes two of us. Although I'm sure only two of us.
Maybe only two of us. All right, May, why don't you take us through announcements and debuts?
All right, we got a new City Skyline expansion coming. Do you want to talk about this, audience? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Are they actually calling it an expansion? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm assuming you put it there.
No, I didn't.
I put it there, but yes, it is considered an expansion.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess their major selling point on this one is they're adding like a nighttime cycle to the game. You know, and then basically your tons of lighting changes. You know, with the night cycle, the city life will, you know, operate properly. People will mostly stay inside and people go to work. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know. It doesn't particularly excite me as an expansion. I think, you know, they could go in some other directions to give the game a little more replayability. I'd like to see like the economic simulation side of things, you know, improved substantially. But okay, night cycle.
I'd imagine that for a game that's so accessible in terms of making plugins and add-ons, that an expansion is always going to be underwhelming because there's probably someone who already thought like, oh, let's put this feature in the game through a mod pack.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, people are making all sorts of buildings for the game, so that's something they're not going to be able to really do in the expansion. But, like, you know, some different improvements to game modes would certainly help. I mean, the traffic simulation is already pretty good. They've improved upon that, so that's not a direction they can go. But like I said, the economic side could really use some work, you know, helping you, you know, create some more interesting industries and you know, other means of revenue generation other than just taxes. I think it's kind of one of the areas the game really fell short, and it saddens me they're not doing anything to improve it.
All right, well, City Skylines, that expansion is coming out September 24th.
All right, so another Ubisoft game got delayed. This time, Rainbow Six Siege, and they just delayed. I know, or something with the beta.
Yeah, something with the
Yeah. So, are they actually going to do quality control in their games now? I don't think so.
Hey, you never know.
I think the game will still release as a buggy mess. What do you guys think?
The same release window as Star Wars Battlefront. They can't be happy about that.
You know, and maybe that's one of the catalysts for pushing this back a little bit. Maybe.
It's a kind of odd time to release because usually they release in October.
Yeah, and it was originally October 13th, and they pushed it back to December 1st. So, 6-week delay.
People tend to buy the video games for Christmas pretty early.
We'll see what happens.
Seems like a very late release date. Dying Light announced that they sold 5 million copies, and there is a 10-hour plus DLC in the pipeline.
That game still must be selling particularly well because I think it came out in like January and it's still $60.
Yes. It's still selling really, really well. 5 million copies is nothing to scoff at. For a game that was a zombie shooter type game, kind of with parkour, that came out in a time where people were kind of sick of zombies, shit, that's a lot of copies to push.
Yeah, good for them. I've been kind of wanting to pick it up, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get $60 worth of fun out of it. So I don't know. Maybe Winter Steam sale.
Yeah, and the DLC itself is it's going to be $14.99 when it goes on sale, but it's going to be free to people who already have the season pass. So if you have the season pass, you're good. You've got it already. Don't buy it. Just saying.
You have to question why you bought a season pass for that game, but okay.
Yes.
Divinity Original Sin 2 is getting a Kickstarter in what is it, 3 days here?
Yeah. On Wednesday.
August 26th.
This is confusing. Why do they need to kickstart this? The original did extremely well, made them a lot of money. Are we just basically trying to do a overglorified pre-order here?
That's what they're trying to do.
Yes, I think that's what they're trying to do, and maybe add a couple extra features with the crowdfunding sources. But yeah, I think they've got all the money for this already kind of wrapped up.
I would hope so.
I think too, riding on the success of the last Kickstarter, I feel like they're probably sitting around and being like, we're going to get a lot of money if we put this on Kickstarter, so why not? Why leave money on the table?
We'll
Just
see.
my feelings.
I think everybody around here who played it really liked Original Sin. So I don't know if I'm going to kickstart it, but we'll see what the packages are. Who knows? Maybe you can get it substantially cheaper than the retail release.
Yeah, I'll probably throw them enough
And
to
you
get
some
a
cool shit
copy.
too. You never know.
We still got the enhanced edition for the regular one coming out too.
That's true. That'll be worth a playthrough again.
All right, Runic Games, people who made Torchlight are making a new game called Hob. Not a whole lot mentioned about this game yet, I believe.
I'm inspired by the name.
They've got like a little tiny trailer that doesn't show a whole lot. It's like a small cinematic of a little dude opening a door to like a big ass world. They're touting this as a very narrative, story-driven type of game, which is totally like different than what they've done with Torchlight. It's not going to be like ISOCAM kind of thing. This is a completely new realm for them to go into, and I'm kind of curious to see how they do it because obviously Torchlight and Torchlight 2 were big enough games that people know who Runic Games is, and this looks like worth a watch at least.
And they said Ico and Shadows of Colossus are their inspirations.
Yeah,
sold.
You can see that from some of the artwork too.
Yeah, Torchlight series is solid, and this looks pretty interesting. Have to keep an eye on it.
All right. Well, we know how much Capcom loves remaking shit. They even remake remakes, and now they're remaking Resident Evil 2. Which a lot of people have been asking for.
Yeah, I think this is the best possible remake that Capcom could have made, and they should have made it fucking years ago. And they're finally getting around to actually listening to what people want, and they're going to make it. And I'm so glad that they are because RE2 was a fantastic game, and a game that in a lot of ways was, I don't want to say underrated at the time, but I think it got inundated with the greatness of the first one at the time and the third one coming out relatively soon after it, and people looking at it always like a trilogy. But the second Resident Evil was so good, and I can't wait for the remake of this game. I will most likely pick this up.
Well, it's Capcom, so they're going to remake it into a first-person shooter with nothing but DLC.
We don't know that, man.
So look forward to it.
We don't know that. I mean, right now they
So
are
it's
saying
just-
it's a remake. They're not saying it's a remaster. I think, which comes with a different sort of, a whole nother set of baggage. But we'll see, because you're right. Capcom is probably going to do something to this game.
Be prepared for disappointment.
Well, it's Capcom. You should always be prepared for the disappointment.
Expect the worst, hope for the best.
Right. Exactly.
And so, quick mention: Guilty Gear Xrd is coming. Revelations is coming to the Japanese arcades. You can now play as Jam.
Is that it? You can just play as Jam? Are there any
I
older
assume they're
characters?
adding new characters. That's the one they announced so far.
Like, is Dizzy coming back? A lot of the older characters.
I mean, I would hope like they bring back Biken and Dizzy and all those other characters that they didn't add on. Johnny.
I heard Johnny was getting added in at some point, right? To like the game.
Maybe
soon?
he did. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the DLC for Sign. If they added any more.
Very popular character. All right, next one.
Trine Free is releasing soon. Actually,
Looks nice at 60 FPS. Looks great. Did you guys play the Trine series at all?
I did play the first
I never got around to it.
I did not.
I didn't
I
either.
had the game and I had both the original and Trine 2, and I haven't gotten around to playing either.
Actually, Trine 3 is released. It was released a couple days ago.
Well, look
Okay,
at
so I missed that one.
I'm looking at a
Brain missed it
gameplay
too.
trailer right now. This is a game I guess that thrives in co-op, right? You want to play this with a friend?
Yep.
Looks very nice. Looks a very pretty game.
Okay, so there was a shitty Attack on Titan game that released for the 3DS, but this is not going to be it, hopefully. And it looks really good so far. There's an Attack on Titan game coming from Koei Tecmo.
I don't understand
And
what's
it's-
in that series, man.
It's basically going to be like the opposite of Dynasty Warriors, they said. It's going to be hundreds of people versus one big boss. One big Titan. And it looks like it might be like a really good adaptation.
I just can't get over how goofy the giants are.
Yeah, right. But shit, people watch this like all the time, and it's
I
on
know,
Cartoon
I don't
Network too.
understand. Don't get me wrong. It's the animation's beautiful and the art looks real good, but it follows every freaking anime cliche that's out there, and I just could not get into it.
It really doesn't.
I haven't seen many naked giants attack towns.
It is a
People
really
actually die
strange
in
plot.
in their personalities.
Very strange plot for an anime. But hell, we've seen Stranger, right? So I mean, whatever.
All right. This game looked pretty interesting. Masquerada, Songs and Shadows. It's a strategy RPG, and it kind of has real-time combat in it as well.
This game does look really interesting.
Yeah, we're gonna hear a lot more about this in PAX, but they did have a trailer with the gameplay, and it does look really cool. So I think this is gonna be a pretty big indie game. I believe it's indie.
What is this coming out for?
I think PC.
Oh, okay. Well, you've got me then. This has a stop and start pause mechanic for tactical stuff as well, and
Yeah,
it's
think like
isometric
Transistor,
yeah,
but
think
with a
like
party.
Transistor. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks very cool. So it looks like it was like a cell shaded art style with the characters moving around like these pre-rendered backgrounds. Probably hand drawn, really. But it looks very nice. It looks very nice.
Yeah, close to Transistor starts out actually. I'm guessing that they use that as an inspiration for
They
it.
they very well may have, because it is this very similar. It's coming to
Which
PC.
is not bad at all.
It's probably
That's-
going to be like a $15
No,
game.
dude, I love Transistor.
I was gonna ask, is this made by Supergiant?
I don't know. It's made by
developers.
I didn't look that far.
I will look that up.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Bastion and Transistor.
There's also another action RPG coming out. I'm not too much revealed about this one, but it's for PS4, and it's Stories: The Hidden Path.
Masquerada Songs and Shadows is coming out from a company developer called Witching Hour Studios.
Yeah, so just an indie developer.
Yeah. Witching-hour.net if you want to check out the game.
And they said there's going to be a lot more. I know that. I remember that. They said there's going to be a lot more revealed at PAX East. Dollhouse is coming out. This looked kind of interesting. A procedurally generated horror game with multiplayer elements.
Is this the one we were talking about before the podcast?
Were we?
No, it wasn't.
No, the next one is.
It's just a cinematic trailer. It's
Yeah.
telling me nothing about this game.
Siralim? I don't know how to pronounce this. It's Siralim. It's kind of like an old school, Super Nintendo style RPG, but everything's procedurally generated. There's kind of like Zelda elements to it. There's kind of there's old school like Final Fantasy elements to it, and it's coming out for PS4, PS3, and Vita.
Yeah, I mean, to boil it down, like, if you remember those old NES games where, like, you're walking around with, like, a party following you, that looks like Legend of Zelda world map kind of stuff, but it has, like, a fog of war. That's what this looks like. And then the combat system actually looks like Dragon Warrior, like the original Dragon Warrior, where there's, like, monsters in front of you, and, you whack at them, and they, like, vibrate a little bit. And it's got, like, a built-in bestiary. It's all, like, it looks like a 8-bit, but it looks a little better than 8-bit. Maybe it's 16-bit. It's kind of hard to tell from the video here, but check it out. This looks like a very, very cool game. Is it coming out on PC? I don't even know.
No.
I don't think so. Just
PlayStation and Vita.
PlayStation and Vita. All right. That's okay.
All right, so this last game I just put on there because the description of this game is just so fucking ridiculous. Typical perverted Japanese. It's called Omega Labyrinth, and it's a dungeon crawler RPG where the characters increase their breast size.
Yeah.
They would.
And it has apparently an OPI appraisal system. OPI means breast in Japanese.
Appraisal system?
Yes,
that word.
you have to place the item between the character's breasts and jiggle them to reveal the item's true nature. Because that's how appraisals work, right?
Right. That's how I do them. Yes, I ask my wife to help me out to identify items all the time with the power of her breasts. We don't actually do that. So what you're saying is, instead of like leveling up in this game, your tits get bigger.
Well, you level up too.
Okay, you
Your
level
tits
up
grow with
also.
them.
I see. Okay. I feel like
Identify things with boobs.
I feel like I saw this coming, but I can't really admit to that. Or do I want to?
Is this the
Papa
Japanese
J said
version of
there's-
Deckard Cain or what?
Papa J said there's no original
It's
RPGs
fucking weird.
or any IPs, actually, he said. That's a pretty original mechanic.
Well, I guess it's
And
better
only one
than
that could come from Japan.
schoolgirls becoming weapons.
I'm sitting here looking at this game and I'm like, wow, what is that? Like calling it like W Labyrinth, and I realize it's some crazy loose interpretation of the Omega symbol, but they're using the breasts, and yeah. Go look at the picture. Go. You're a dirty man, man.
He's a very dirty man. Well, not as dirty as the developers who create this shit.
This is what PlayAsia recommended for me.
He's just the messenger.
They would recommend it to you. They absolutely would. Good on them. Now we all know about it. I feel dirty.
Yeah.
So, are we going to talk about MMO things tonight?
I don't know, are we?
I think we probably are. So let's start off with the
Man.
simple one. So Blade and Soul is actually getting a North American release date and also a beta. That's being published by NC Soft. And I don't know if there was an actual date on this one. Was there, May?
No, they said it was I believe it was spring 2016 it'll release, and the it is actually soon, next season, I believe.
I just feel like this game is too little too late. Like, people wanted this game
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, and now...
This is at least 5 years. Maybe
It's so old, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited about it when they announced it in 2012. I was still playing Aeon here and there. And
I think it's
before I hated NCSoft completely, but yeah.
I think it's probably the best quickie MMORPG outside of Guild Wars 2. There's probably not a lot of in-game content to keep people coming back and playing, especially since it has the same problems as Guild Wars 2, like the no Trinity system, which is dumb.
I mean, the theme of it's pretty cool. So it's like that old ancient wushu. You are the land's hero, like
Yeah.
what was that series called? Once Upon a Time in China, that type of deal.
I actually played the like pirated English version of this, the patched English version, and it was really fun. The combat was really fun. The movement's really fun.
I wonder how much of the outfits are going to get censored. Like they did with
we were talking
Terra.
about that. Is there going to be censorship in this?
Why?
It is NCSoft today. Yeah.
We've got these guys
I think especially for the little fox race. They evolved from Karens or something. Because they look like children and they had a bit of revealing clothing. Blade and Soul.
Oh, we can't do that. Now with, there's Jareds out there touching little kids.
It's already pre-ordered.
Money's already been spent. All right.
Cat and Omega Lammoth, right?
All right. Let's
Of
talk
course.
about some actual MMOs that exist.
There's a lot of titties in Blade and Soul too.
Listen, if you play an MMO, there's titties. Pretty much everywhere there's titties. Looking for titties isn't that hard. They're all over the
Just don't
place.
fall in the trap.
Let's talk about some
Makes
MMOs
me
that
hard.
exist. All right. So, Seifer, you watched the live letter for the recent FF14 patch that's coming out?
Yeah, yesterday they had a 14-hour live stream to commemorate their 2-year anniversary of the 2.0 launch. Saw Yoshi getting drunk, putting water in his sake, like a little bitch. But yeah, he outlined a lot of major things that were coming in 3.1. It's the first major patch since the Heaven's Ward expansion. I'm just going to list a few of them. They're doing some adjustments to Astrologian, Dark Knight, and Monk. They mentioned a possible change to the Grand Company restriction in PvP, which should have been in the game to begin with, because a game that's so PvE focused, you really don't want to put too many gates on PvP access, because people just want to go in there and try it out. There's not too many dedicated PvP people in this game.
That's true, there aren't.
TP bars will be viewable. It's kind of smaller stuff. Crafting specialists. You can only have 3 specialists out of the 8 crafters. Or 7. No, 8 crafts. And they've admitted that they're pretty much useless at the moment. So they're talking about maybe adding unique recipes and reworking the abilities. They're adding some new main scenario and side quests. Opening up Vanu Beast Tribe quests. Beast Tribe quests are coming back. You get XP from 50 dungeons now, so they fixed the high-level roulette that everyone was complaining about. You never got XP for mobs, you only got the bonus at the very end, which wasn't really justifying the time spent.
It was pretty fucking dumb doing that roulette in general.
Oh, God.
Waste of time.
I just skipped it and didn't even bother with it. They're adding 2 new dungeons, Feroceros Hard, which is a 2.0 dungeon that they're making a hard version of, and a brand new one called Saint Machian Arboretorium. Probably mutilated that, but it's pretty much just a greenhouse garden, it looked like, from some of the screenshots. So, 2 new dungeons to mess around with, hopefully both added in the expert roulette, so we're not doing the 2 same dungeons for 3 months. New primal battles being added. They haven't specified what, but there's a lot of hint of it maybe dealing with Kate Sith. Void Ark, the 24-man raid. This is going to be similar to Crystal Tower. They're adding that in 3.1. Similar mechanics, similar drop rates and stuff like that. They didn't mention the eye level drops, but it's probably going to be around 200. They're adding relics and airship exploration, which is kind of odd. You use your guild airship, and you take a party to just some unknown islands, and you fight a bunch of shit and unlock gathering nodes, which I guess is just going to be new items.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about that a while back, that they were going to do something with that, so good. No, good on them. I mean, it seems like they're touching everything in the game.
Yeah, they're adding a lot of stuff this patch, so it's nice to look forward to. If you play the game. If not, it's probably boring as hell to listen to. As May has stated.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing I never find boring, even though I don't play it, is hearing about Destiny, because this game has seemed to me like it's been a fucking roller coaster of a ride to listen to it, about it, and hear it from the outside. And now they've got a new expansion coming out, which, you know, again, is debatably the word expansion. We don't know if it really justifies that word.
4 hours of DLC.
4 hours, yeah, fucking 4 hour DLC, who knows. But there's a lot going on over there. Who wants to take us through that? I know a couple of you guys play that.
I'll mention some of it. Well, excluding the expansion, at the same time they're doing pretty much Final Fantasy XIV type of reboot for Destiny. They're completely reworking all of the original mechanics, the stats. XP is no longer within gear. It's separated from light levels to just mean a gear score now, and then you have your base XP, which you just get from doing normal stuff in the game. So instead of being blocked by content just because you didn't have the gear, you just can join whatever and just the gear score. That's the light level. It's just kind of a less granular thing they wanted now.
Do you think they're doing that because like people are falling off the map in the game and they want to be able to involve larger, you know, pools of people in the content that's coming out?
Well, they just made the same mistake like Lord of the Rings Online did when that first came out, because they had a light system that's very similar to Destiny's. And they came out, you know, a year or two later going, yeah, that was a stupid thing we did. We're just going to go back to player levels and stuff. And well, Destiny apparently didn't want to learn from that. They just did it the hard way.
Let me put it this way, Greg. Do you like the part of it about MMOs where you have to wait months to get a piece of gear because you're getting fucked by RNG?
No, sir, I do not like that.
Well, that's how you level up in Destiny.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going away. So that's a major thing that prevented me from liking it after a few months, just because you had to have a raid group to be able to get to the end content. And they kept trying to make it easier, more accessible, from 6-man raids to down to 3-man, thinking, oh, okay, maybe I'll do it with 3-man. Because this was around the time when they were taking polls and a census on it going, you know, 80% of people don't even do the raids. They just do all the other stuff in the game. So, I mean, they've been trying. I personally haven't played in about 6-7 months, but I've been thinking about going back for Taken King, try it out. I skipped the House of Wolves expansion, but
I think that'll
definitely want to try it out again.
Seems like skipping expansions before was this makes it easier, right? I mean, because before, if you had to keep up on gear level stuff to be able to do new content, you know, you kind of had to play it all the time, right?
Yeah, you just had to have a party who you'd go with constantly. If you were solo or 1 or 2-man, you had to do what me, May, and Wolfgang were doing. We were essentially just glitching the raids and getting the gear at the end.
Right, to be able to low man it.
And whenever, they'd patch it, and then we just kind of go, okay, now we can't do anything. And then, back to the point about expansions and stuff, I think they labeled the first 2 ones just terribly. They should have never labeled them expansions. This one in particular, I think it can be named an expansion. It's $40. It's steep. But they're actually adding a lot of new content, way more than their previous little DLCs. I'm not even going to call them expansions.
Yeah, I feel like in part they kind of had to go with that price point too because of the price of the last couple of ones, which were like $20, right?
Yeah, they had the group deal going on where it was like $35 for both, but yeah, I mean they're kind of adding a bit more of a story element to it. A lot of people who are reviewing it, Game Informer in particular, was saying, yeah, there's an actual story now that's worth reading the text to.
And one of the major changes that they're doing it is they're actually having Nolan North redo all of the narration for that little robot that follows you around, which means Peter Dinklage's voice is now being completely removed from the game. It's like he's a rata now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good actor, good voice actor, but he did not shine through this. I think they wanted a specific type of tone with Ghost, and he was just kind of following orders, and it turned out to be bad, so they just kind of burned him for it. But yeah, Nolan North is a pretty popular voiceover guy. He did Drake in Uncharted. It's one of the most noticeable ones he did. So yeah, I mean that's it. They're going back and redoing all that stuff from the base game. So
yeah, it seems
that should be
like
nice.
There's a lot going on there. So
they're adding vault storage, just a lot of quality of life stuff too. The factions in the tower actually do things now. It gives you little quests within them. Like your little ghost shell has levels. Just pretty excited to try it out. I'll probably get sick of it in a month, but you know.
Well, there will probably be a resurgence in the people who want to play this game again, and hell, that's always good, you know. I'm just waiting for it to come to PC so that, you know, they can expand their player base even more, but the Bungie doesn't really seem that keen on that right now. So, fuck them, I guess.
No, they're...
I'm still waiting for Halos to come to PC.
Yeah, right?
I was just going to say, it's
Fucking
probably just going to be another Halo.
later.
Well, wait, Papa. Now you can stream it from your Xbox One to your Windows 10 PC, so there you go. It's Halo on PC now. Didn't you know that?
Oh, I knew it.
Duh.
And, you know, that involves, you know, my TV. And, you know, if I wanted to pay for inferior quality, I would have already done that.
Well, that's what you get. Enjoy your
Instead I
buggy
spend-
Master Chief collection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very good. Very good on Destiny. Good for the people who play FF14. It sounds like there's a lot of major things coming out for both of these games. And if you're looking forward to Blade and Soul, keep waiting. It's coming eventually. Let's go into upcoming games for October 24th through September 6th.
I mean, August 24th?
August 24th. Did I go backwards there?
You said October.
Reverse time travel? Right, okay. 8/24 to 9/6. Go, May. Tell us what's coming out.
All right, Until Dawn is coming out. This is a horror game with a lot of quick time events, but it does look pretty interesting. I want to see how this reviews and how many people buy it.
I think there was a small hype for this a little while ago.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of hype actually surrounding this game. This will be interesting to see if they succeed or if this is just another Order 1886. Supposedly it has a lot of hours of content, though, if you go for all the stories.
Good news is we're going to find out this week.
Yep, so it's coming out August 25th for PS4. Ascendant is a side-scroller beat-em-up. It looks kind of like Apotheon, if anyone played that game. Kind of interesting. I think it was worth mentioning at least, and it's coming out August 25th for PS4 and PC. Nova 111 or Nova
111.
111 or 111, I don't know what the proper title is. It's a mix of real-time strategy and turn-based strategy. It's a little puzzle game. Coming out August 25th for PS4, PC, PS3, PS Vita, Xbox One, and Wii U. So everything except... No, pretty much everything.
Yeah, everything. Even Wii U. Look at that, Papa. There's a game coming out on Tuesday for the Nintendo Wii U.
Wii U. There's actually two coming out on Wii U.
I still haven't bought Splatoon yet.
wrong with
Madden
you?
Madden NFL 16 is coming out. Do I
Too
really
much
need
stuff
to
to count.
Yay, Madden.
John Madden football?
Did you guys watch the little, I don't know, trailer movie they created for this thing? Apparently, he is so confident in, their Madden sales. Like, they don't even, bother to show the game. They just made some crazy-ass Madden the movie trailer. It's out there on YouTube. Go watch it. It's actually pretty funny.
It's coming
But I
out
think
August.
they show, 5 seconds of gameplay.
I'm afraid. I don't want to
You
go
need
watch
show
that.
gameplay.
Go watch it.
It's the same
it's
game.
hilarious.
Same game as
Spoiler,
last
it's a
year.
football game.
John
August
Madden's
25th.
not in it.
August 25th for PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, and Xbox One.
Quick
No Wii U.
question. Quick question while we're, because we've joked in the past about how, they always put Tom Clancy's name on all those fucking shooter games. At what point are kids not going to know who the fuck John Madden is anymore?
Never, because they're going to think he's some video game character.
Because I feel like kids don't
His
know who
meme
John
shall
Madden
live
is
on.
right now, as it is. It's going to keep doing this until people are like, wait, who the fuck? This
I
film
don't
is
think I
5
ever knew
minutes
who
long.
Tom Clancy is. No, he's an author, I
He's
guess.
an author, yes.
So Mega Man Legacy Collection is coming out. It's Mega Man. Do I need to explain that? August. I mean, do you guys know what Mega Man is, right?
I know who Mega Man is, yeah. He's the little blue dude with the red dog, and he's got a gun for an arm. He
You can
powers
turn
up.
Yeah, you can take powers from other villains.
This is
Just another crappy platform game from the Nintendo era. It's nothing to worry about. Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
this
August
is-
25th.
We talked about this a couple of episodes ago, where they're trying to release the authentic feeling NES Mega Man collection. I think it even has the NES slowdowns, the hardware slowdowns in it. They've simulated them to give you the full real experience of what Mega Man was to play back in the early, late 80s, early 90s.
It's
Hey,
coming
cool.
out,
Capcom.
coming out for PC and Xbox One August 25th.
That's
what the hell, Capcom? No PlayStation.
There's no point even releasing it on PC with the amount of fucking emulation there is out there for Mega Man. But whatever.
Well, they don't want to make a new game. They just want to make their old games and remake them. It's Capcom.
It's Capcom. Well, whatever. They do what they do.
Also, emulating's illegal, remember? At least with Windows 10. They fucking track that shit.
Do they?
Yeah, there's.
Oh, yeah.
You could add that as an article.
Windows 10 does a lot of nasty shit. That is very not torrent and very non-emulating friendly.
We'll have to talk about that at some point.
Amnesia Memories is coming out. It's an Otome visual novel. Otome is maiden in Japanese. It's for females, actually. One female, a bunch of males swinging over. It's coming out
Wonderful.
August 25th for PS Vita. Well, I mean, people talk about
I will be standing in line for that one, sir. Oh.
it's equality right there.
Didn't even spell it right. Jesus. Give the game the respect it deserves. None whatsoever. Next.
Disney Infinity 3.0 edition. Who's excited for this one?
Small children everywhere are excited for this one.
You can buy cheap plastic toys to go with the game.
Now you have to buy this game?
Yep.
Hey, it's coming out on the Wii U.
It's August 30th and it's coming
right.
out on every single fucking platform.
Why wouldn't it come out on the Wii U?
Isn't it free on the PC though? Isn't it?
I'm pretty sure you have to buy little figurines.
Okay, so you got
And you have to pay like $8 worth of figurines to buy the game. It's more than an actual game is usually. Or some shit like that. Anyway, moving on. Danganronpa. I always hate pronouncing this one. Another episode, Ultra Despair Girls. Yeah, it's Japanese title right there.
You can't see me, but I'm doing that Picard thing where he face palms, where his hand is over his forehead and he's staring at his desk. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
This is also one of the best review games on Vita. Well, the visual novels are. And this is a third-person shooter, actually.
Good on the developer then. Good for them.
September 1st for PS Vita. They made an anime out of it, too.
Competing with Metal Gear launch.
Oh boy.
My pre-order in when I go pick up Amnesia Memories.
I don't think the PS Vita crowd is going to be the same people who buy the Metal Gear games. Just have a feeling about that one.
Oh, if Metal Gear,
Peace Walker is pretty solid.
If Metal Gear doesn't work out, you can always, trade it in and get this game. It's a win-win for everyone.
Mad Max is coming out. This one I didn't know this was coming out then. It's a populated GTA style game. You can customize cars and Mad Max style that wreck other cars, and it's kind of neat. It's coming out.
It does look good, actually. It looks really good.
Yeah,
it
it's a
is
Batman
certainly
style.
To its credit that they took the time to get this one right and didn't try to shove it out in time for the movie.
Mm-hmm. It has a Batman style combat system and everything. Could be really good, like Shadows of Mordor or something.
Could be. It could be really good.
It's coming out September 1st, so yeah, competing with Metal Gear, which we'll get to.
Most importantly, it's competing with Danganronpa.
Danganronpa, yeah.
I'm just hoping I'd finished Amnesia Memories by then.
You'll have a whole
think
week.
so.
Think about it.
I think that game's pretty long, actually. Well, if you go for the platinum.
Should have scheduled more vacation days now. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be behind.
Hey, I wasn't even allowed to talk about this, but Idea Factory is releasing 12 Otome visual novel games.
But when we say you're not allowed to talk about it, it's because you're not allowed to talk about it, and you've broken all the rules now. It's over. Listen,
there's about Fight Club.
That's right. There's an important game coming out that you need to mention now. See freaking cream his pants.
Mad Max is at PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And the moment you've all been waiting for, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is releasing September 1st for PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
It's coming
What
out.
is that?
It's coming out whether or not it's made by Kojima. It's coming out.
What is Metal Gears Solid 5? There's 5 of them?
I think there's more than 5.
There was 1, there was 2 that
Yes.
people liked, and then there was like a third one and a fourth one that people were kind of like, eh.
Dude, you can attach balloons to cows and they get airlifted away. I'm getting this.
I can't wait to see the YouTube videos.
Finally finishing the 70-year in-game storyline that is Metal Gear.
That's not true, man. They still have pachinko machines to make with the story. The story.
No, they will
not. So it's
No,
coming
they
out.
will not.
Are you excited, Steve? I know you've got your pre-order already, right? I'll pick it up next Tuesday.
Not yet.
Really? You're just gonna walk in and expect there to be a copy for you?
I'm gonna play it on a PC.
Oh, okay.
Good choice.
Superior
Good choice,
platform.
yeah.
At 1440p.
I was supposed to get this one for free, but I got screwed by Amazon.
Yeah, me too. I recently bought a laptop and it was supposed to come with it free, but it didn't.
Yeah,
because I ordered it from Amazon.
for the longest time, I'm waiting for a 980 Ti by Asus, the Strix model, and they came out last month, and the fucking 5 that they sent out or whatever were sold like instantly. So I was on a waiting, not really a waiting list, but I had an order placed through Amazon for the card, and so when they got it in stock, they'd bill my card and ship it. So I placed the order like back in July, and so. I finally got the card and everything, and I said, wait, I'm supposed to get, Metal Gear Solid 5 with this too. So I got in touch with them, and they're like, oh, well, you placed the order before the promotion started. I'm like, granted, but you billed me, after the promotion started and shipped it and everything, and they're still denying it. They're saying that card isn't even, considered a qualifying product for the free Metal Gear Solid 5. So, case in point, if you buy an NVIDIA card and you're expecting free Metal Gear Solid 5, check and make sure that you're getting it.
What a bunch of dicks.
Metal Gear game from Amazon? Anyone in the world?
Not me.
We want to know. Write us.
Their free game system, NVIDIA, their little distribution platform is fucking awful.
Yeah, I think I got a free copy of Assassin's Creed from them, the Black Flag. But I built my brother's computer.
Plus, you pay tax from Amazon now, so that's a double balls.
You have to pay tax if they have a distribution center in your state, which they pretty much have one in every state now.
I don't think they have one in New York. Well, actually, no, they do have one in New York because they're doing that 1 hour delivery shit in Manhattan now, or 2 hour delivery.
Well, it also depends on if the product is actually stocked in that particular distribution center, because I order stuff from Amazon that comes from like Pennsylvania, and they don't charge me tax for it. You know, that happened recently. I was surprised, but then I saw where it was coming from in the tracker, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I guess they didn't have it in the New York one, so they sent it from the nearest one that did.
Of course, claiming that on your tax statements, right, and paying the tax then, as you're legally obligated to do, right?
No, of course I'm not.
Good joke.
Fuck that.
Oh no, we're gonna get audited.
Internal Revenue is listening to this podcast. We're screwed.
Well, I know the next time we meet is going to be Sunday, September 9th, and we're probably going to talk quite a bit about Metal Gear Solid 5. So I can't wait.
Mother base.
I can't wait because this is a game that's really been highly anticipated. You know, it's right up there with like Witcher 3, Fallout 4. It's going to be like one of the, you know, the big like 3 to 5 games this year that people are going to talk about, you know, for the game of the year thing, you know, right? So here's
September
a biggie.
6th, right?
The last great Metal Gear.
I said September 6th.
I thought you said 9th.
Who can skyjack the most cows by the next podcast?
There should be like
Who
an
could
achievement to track
skyjack a cow into the Apache helicopter overhead, blowing that up and the cow?
Right.
Fucking balloon liftoff thing is ridiculous.
They had something ridiculous. The upgraded version of that Fulton system, the balloon pickup, is a portal.
Right.
Why are there portals in 1984?
Because Kojima said so.
Well, I'm still trying.
They go through a wormhole back to Mother Base, a literal wormhole.
That's the thing. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Why are you concerned with getting farm animals back to Mother Base?
Need milk.
Right. There's a dairy shortage that happened in the year like 2006, where cheese prices went up, and we need to stop that from happening.
Your oil platform sub-base is in need of milk.
I mean, we all lived through it, Naughties. You know what happened.
Milk cannot be purchased through the military
industry. And it's pretty deep. The amount of stuff you need for your base is pretty deep. Like, if you don't take a shower after a while,
I watched.
They make you take a shower.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, we're probably going to talk a lot about Metal Gear next time, and any other fun news that comes out, starting really from tomorrow until the next time we meet, which is going to be Sunday, September 6th. Did I get that right, Papa? It's 9/6. And in the meantime, if you have any questions for us in here on the podcast, you can email us at podcast@impact-gaming.us, and we will answer your questions live here on twitch.tv/GrayGeraldin. And you can also find us on iTunes by searching IGC Podcast. Subscribe to us on there. Leave us a review. We really would like that. You can also find out any of the cool shit that's happening when our streamers go live, when this podcast goes live, any of the big news articles we write about, you know, progression on for Neutral Impact, for Men and Mountains. We do now have an actual Minecraft server running that has about 15 players on it. You can get whitelisted if you want. If you're a cool guy and won't destroy everything, you can talk with Relly Torino here at IGC to get that done. We also have an FPS community now that is growing, playing Counter-Strike Global Operative, and that's being run by a guy named Creative. So there have been a lot of big moves here at IGC lately. Obviously, we're still playing MMOs. We do have a small group playing Dota 2 still. And yeah, we're looking to expand into other stuff. So, you know, check us out on YouTube at Impact Gaming Videos, on Twitter at Impact_GamingCM, or just stop by our website, man, and check us out. See what's going on at impact-gaming.us. We would love for you to subscribe to us on all the great things that we have. So we are looking forward to the next time we're going to be here in 2 weeks. And yeah, I think that's about it, guys, right? We don't have anything else to talk about. So we should probably wrap this thing up. All right.
Okay.
So see you guys next time. Until then, game on.
Bye.